Very good. So today we're going to talk about points and distance. Well, what do we need? We need to be able to identify points in the plane. So points in the two-dimensional plane are defined as ordered pairs. Well, what do I mean by that? The very first point, A, is denoted by, for example, 1, 2. We say that point A has first coordinate 1 and second coordinate 2. So these are called the coordinates. First coordinate, and this guy 2 is the second coordinate. Okay, very good. So, okay, you're introducing ordered pairs. The first coordinate, or another name for it, is x coordinate. Let me use a different color. First coordinate or x coordinate. Second coordinate 2, or we call it y coordinate. Okay. So we say that points in the two-dimensional plane are defined as ordered pairs. The order is important. That's why we call them ordered pairs. The very first thing comes is x, and the second thing, the second number is your y. How do I visualize this? To visualize this, to graph this point, we use x, y plane. Okay, x, y plane. Well, from algebra, we know that this is my x-axis, horizontal line for my x-axis. The vertical line is my y-axis. Okay, very good. So far, so good. I know the point of intersection between x and y is called the origin. So this point here is my origin, called origin. It's denoted by O, 0, 0. Well, now we start scaling x-axis and y-axis. There we go. On the right-hand side of the origin, we have positive numbers like 1, 2, 3, and so on. It keeps going to the right-hand side. It keeps going to the positive infinity. On the left-hand side of the origin, we have negative values, negative numbers. -1, -2, -3, and so on. To the left-hand side, we have negative infinity. This is for my horizontal line or x-axis. What about the vertical line? For the vertical line, well, on top of the origin, we have positive numbers like 1, like 2, like 3, and below the origin, I have negative numbers, -1, -2, -3, and so on. So I have a point, all right, 1, 2. How do I graph this? How do I visualize this? The point says, hey, my very first value is 1. 1 is my first coordinate, or x coordinate. It's going to be on the horizontal line. I need to find 1. 1 is exactly here. Okay, well, so far I know I have to start from the horizontal line at 1. But what should I do with the second coordinate? The second coordinate says, hey, now that you are at 1, you have to move 2 units upward. 2 units upward. So this is the representation of point A with first coordinate 1 and second coordinate 2. That's how I visualize this point in XY plane. Very good. So now suppose I give you another point, like the second point B, with first coordinate -2 and second coordinate as -1. And I ask you to graph this. Well, this point says I have my x coordinate. This is my x coordinate as -2. You always start with x coordinate or the first coordinate. Where is that located? That guy is located on the left-hand side of the origin on the negative part. This is -2. -2 is just right here. So this is my -2. Now, the second coordinate, y coordinate, says I am a -1. I'm not positive. It means that I have to shift 1 unit downward. Shift 1 unit downward. So you started at -2, and now you take that and you shift it 1 unit downward. Here you have the second point, B, with first coordinate -2 and second coordinate -1. Y coordinate. Okay. So I'm just giving you 2 points in the plane. This is my whiteboard and this is my 2-dimensional board. It's not 3D. It only has 2 dimensions. I gave you 2 points, point A and point B. Well, the next question that you should be asking is, well, what should I do with these 2 points? I have these points. I can see these points in XY plane. Well, I say, let us now make it a little bit fun. Let us find the distance, the measurement between these 2 points. Now I'm interested in knowing, well, if I connect these 2 points together, what is the distance? How do I measure the distance? What is the length between A and B? Definition of the distance. So suppose you have 2 points. The very first point is denoted by A, and it has A, comma, B as its first coordinate and second coordinate. And also you have the second point B, C, comma, D. The first coordinate of point B is C and the second coordinate is D. Well, the distance between A and B is, well, we have to go back to algebra. We're going to do a little bit of computations, subtraction, and doing the exponent and doing the radical. It's denoted by D, which is equal to the square root of. So far, they have D representing the distance. D, or the distance, is equal to square root. Square root of what? We're going to take x values, find the difference between them, square it. You're going to find the difference between y values, find the difference and square it. Then add the results together, take the square root. So take a look at this. I have C minus A raised to the second plus D minus B raised to the second. So the difference between X values to the second plus the difference between Y values to the second. Let me write it down. This is the difference between of X values, and this guy is the difference of Y values. You find the difference and you square each difference, then add them together, then take the square root. That's how you define the distance between 2 points. Okay, very good. So now that I have these 2 points, what is the distance between them? Okay, I'm going to erase these and write down the distance between them. This is the number that I'm trying to find. What is this measurement? What is this value? So B is -2 and -1, and I'm trying to plug those into the formula. So you can label them for simplicity. You can say that, hey, this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C, and this is my D. Okay. So the distance is equal to square root of, well, C minus A, C minus A, parentheses, your C is -2, copy this down. In the formula, you have subtraction, so write down subtraction, minus A, which is 1, to the second, plus parentheses, D minus B. You need to use this as distance so you don't get confused between these two. D minus B. D is -1, so I'm going to copy it down. Minus, you have subtraction, so let us write down the subtraction. Minus, well, B, which is 2. Then I square it. Okay, perfect. Very good. -2 minus 1 is -3. Guys, recall that. -2 minus 1 is -3. -2 plus 1 is -1. 2 minus 1 is 1. Remember these. So -2 minus 1 is -3. -3, so the distance is square root of, I have -3 in the parentheses to the second power, -1 minus 2, again, -3 to the second power. Again, remember that we are going back and forth between pre-calculus and algebra. When you're having -3 to the second power, what's the meaning of that? It means that you're multiplying -3 by itself 2 times. You have -3 times -3, which is +9. +9, guys. So the distance so far is equal to square root of 9 plus 9. 9 plus 9 is just 18. So you get square root of 18. We can use a calculator to approximate this number. So the square root of 18, let us use our calculator, is 4.24, is approximately 4.24. So you say that, hey, the distance approximately is 4.20. The distance between these 2 points is 4.24 approximately. Now, I ask you to find the distance between these 2 points. Now, I ask you to find the distance between -1, -2, and -3 and 0. Please find the distance for me. The distance is perfect. So we're interested in finding the distance between these 2 points. Guys, try to label them. Label this guy as your A, and this guy as your B, this number as your C, and this number as your D. And then follow the formula. You have a formula. You need to follow the formula. The distance is equal to the square root of, well, parenthesis, C, copy down C, -3. You have subtraction. Use a different color for subtraction. Minus A. My A is a negative number, so you have to put -1 inside the parenthesis. Then raise it to the second. I have plus addition. I have parenthesis. Okay, I have D, which is 0. I'm going to copy down 0. Then I have subtraction. Use a different color for subtraction to distinguish subtraction from your negative number. Minus B. My B is a negative number, so I have to put that in parenthesis to the second power. Now I'm doing the basic algebra. This is equal to the square root of, well, guys, I have parenthesis, -3, minus becomes plus. Use a different color to make sure you know what you did. Minus times minus is plus. Plus 1 to the second power. Plus parenthesis 0. 0 is not important. Negative times negative is positive. So +2 to the second power. So far, so good. -3 plus 1 is going to be -2. So this guy is equal to the square root of -2 squared plus 2 squared. -2 squared is -2 times -2. Which is +4. Negative times negative is always positive. So this guy becomes square root of 4 plus 2 squared is also 2 times 2, which is 4. We get square root of 8, which is approximately 2.8, 2.82, 2.83, or about 3. This is the distance between A and B.